When I talk, I'm going to do a little bit different than Steve because I like a lot more interaction. So if I ask a question, the obvious answer is always going to be the right answer. And I appreciate if you answer, because if you don't, it just makes me really nervous when I'm standing up here, and then I'll just go for the next hour. So how many people have ever seen this before?
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody know where it came from? The history behind it? And it's interesting. Where that came from was, there was this guy named Winston Churchill.
Yep.
And Winston Churchill, before Britain got involved in the war, was worried that what was going to happen as they got involved in the war, morale in Britain would go down. Because you think about, where are most of our battles won and lost? Right in here. So what he did was he commissioned 2.5 million of these posters to be printed and hung throughout Britain. It was kind of interesting. There's also another poster that says, "Your courage, your cheerfulness, your resolution will bring us victory." We've never seen that one. He had another 2.5 million of those printed. There was, "Freedom is in peril, defend it with all your might." Well, and think about that one. We've never seen that one either. But all of those were posted throughout Great Britain. But those people weren't fighting. What were they fighting? They were fighting the stuff up here. So what happened is think about the situation they're in. They're involved in a war. The newspapers are printing gloom and doom. The economy's got its ups and downs. The government's unrest. There's some moral issues. People have personal issues. There's a lot of things going on. But we've got all that solved, because none of that stuff exists today, right?
Yeah.
And today the things have actually, you think they've probably gotten a little bit worse, because we got all that stuff, plus then we got the internet dramatizing everything and 24-hour news on TV. So there's a lot more bombarding our minds. So the problem with having all these things printed was it was done through the government. Okay? And what can you tell me about the government?
Don't get me started.
They're not the most efficient organization ever. So what happened is they printed 2.5 million of these. They managed to get 2,000 of the one put up, 5,000 of the other, and 20,000 of these. That's why you've seen them before. So 20,000 of them, a bunch of them sitting in a warehouse someplace. But you think, 20,000 of them. So the message is, even though they were out there, they really didn't get seen. So when you think about it, how could you find comfort in something that's not seen? Is that kind of an interesting concept? We're going to find comfort in something that's not seen. And what I say is, it all depends on how we either react or we respond to things. Does that make sense to everybody? And it all depends on how we react and how we respond. So that's where we're winning and losing our battles. Because you think about it, do we get onto a stress diet? Do we have a special diet of things we do when we're under stress? Some of us eat, some of us bury ourselves in TV, some of us maybe drink, some of us maybe indulge in other things. There's a bunch of different things we do when we're in our stress diet. But typically the things we do in our stress diet are not the things God wanted us to do. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
God's not thinking, "Hey, I know you're under stress. Why don't you just eat a chocolate cake? It'll make you feel better." Because what happens? It makes you feel better for
A minute.
that long, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, "I can't believe I did that."
Right.
So if I reached into the Word.
Welcome to Winter Chapel, Mike.
Hey, I'm good with it. Okay.
I am too.
What Paul Paul took, and when Paul was out there, he was setting up churches. So he set up these churches, and because way back when, transportation wasn't like it is today, so what he would do is he would send letters to his churches that he set up to kind of keep them on track a little bit. One of the churches he set up was the church in Philippi. So he's got this whole section of the Bible called Philippians. So I'm going to read you some stuff from Philippians 4. And what it says in Philippians 4 is it says, rejoice in the Lord always. I say again, rejoice. Let the gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Jesus Christ. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent and praiseworthy, think of such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put in practice, and the peace of God will be with you. Similar thought to the poster, right? Because what's he telling you? Put the right things in your mind. So let's look at that for a second. His cure for things was, do not be anxious for anything. And in every situation, prayer and petition with thanksgiving your request to God. And I know some people are going, but Mike, you don't understand my situation. And I don't understand your situation, but I do understand what the Bible said. And I do understand Paul's advice, because what we're all looking for is we're all looking for personal peace. And they say, you know, anybody that's was raised Catholic, it's peace be with you. Exactly. So you think about that. We're all looking for personal peace. Is things going to come to us automatically? Bam, we're there. And I'll talk a little bit about my job situation. So like Steve said, I changed jobs. So I've worked for Snap-on for quite a while. And in Snap-on, what they did is they had to move some people around because they had some really bad managers. And so they had a bad manager so they moved another bad manager into his spot. And so then they moved another bad manager that ended up being my boss into his spot. So it's been a little bit tedious for a couple of years. But you know what I did was I said, hey, I prayed a little bit. I filled out a bunch of applications, sent out a bunch of resumes. Interviewed a bunch. Got to a point where there was a company that was really interested in me. Said, man, it's not that far from here. It was kind of nice. And they're like, well, we want you to just hold off a little bit. And we went back and forth. It would have been really easy to get anxious. It would have been really easy to get anxious when it was 2 weeks. Then when it stretched to 4 weeks, it would have been. Then when it stretched to 6 weeks, then when it went to 8 weeks, could you get a little bit anxious? Yeah. Well, so what happens in the meantime, I've been diligent, I still sent stuff out. Another company calls. And so they start interviewing me. And then that starts like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then, it's like every week I'm doing a different interview at this company or taking a test or doing, and over like 6 weeks, then all of a sudden, next thing you know, bam, it's like, we want to hire you. And I'm thinking, well, what about this other company? But that's not where God wanted me. Because if it would have supposed to be, would it have happened that way? I have faith that it would have. So you got to be very thankful about that stuff. I say it would have been easy to be anxious. It would have been easy to worry. Anxiousness is just worry. And the problem with worry is worry and peace are polar opposites. I can't worry and I can't be at peace at the same time. True? And what happens to all the stuff I worry about? How much of that really happens?
Not much.
Not much. Well, and then so somebody's saying in here, life gets to the point where it's hurry, 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 worry, 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 and then what's the future? Blurry, blurry, blurry.
That's good.
When I say Alfred E. Newman, who knows who Alfred E. Newman is?
What, me worry?
Exactly. Alfred E. Newman, his favorite words. What, me worry? And if you don't know, Alfred E. Newman's from Mad Magazine. He's like the red-haired kid on the cover of Mad Magazine. And you know they still print Mad Magazine. I didn't think they did. But that's just interesting. So why would we want to be worried? We don't want to worry. What we want to do is we want to be thankful. And I know some people go, but Mike, it's hard to be thankful. Why do we need to be thankful? And I can pull out, and I'm just like one of these people pull out a bunch of scripture, and I always find scripture to stand on. Because the way I look at it is the problems we all have aren't any bigger than God. God's bigger than any problem you have. So if God's given me word, I can take and stand on that word and defend my problems, couldn't I?
Yeah.
So Colossians tells me, therefore, you've received Jesus Christ the Lord, so walk with him, being firmly rooted, being built up in him, establish your faith, just as instructed, and be overflowing with gratitude. Gratitude would be thankfulness, wouldn't it? So no matter what's happening, are they telling me to be thankful? But there's bad stuff happening. I'm getting no, look, be thankful because maybe you're learning something from there. It says, I will bless the Lord at all times, his praise continually in my mouth. And I know that's hard to do when things, the bills come in and you're looking and you got more money than month, stuff like that. Jonah 2:9. And you think about Jonah. Got swallowed by a whale. If you got swallowed by a whale, that would be the least thing you would be, like, at that point I'd just be thinking, there's nothing to be thankful for. But Jonah says to us, but I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. Thessalonians tells us, in everything give thanks, for this is the Lord's will for you in Jesus Christ. So there's some things to understand that I think you need to be thankful for. And if you're thankful, what thankful will do is it'll eliminate worry. Would that make sense? And worry, it tells me, Matthew 6:25 to 6:34. And this is written in red. What's red mean in the Bible?
Jesus spoke.
They're quoting Jesus. So here they are. Matthew's quoting Jesus. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life. Oh, wait a second. Jesus is telling us, therefore I tell you, don't worry about your life. Would that be a kind of a good... Do you think he wants us to worry?
No.
Okay. What you eat or drink or about your body or what you wear is not... Life is not more than food, but the body more than clothes. He says, look at the birds in the air. They do not sow or reap, store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Isn't that deep? Can you add a single hour to your life by worrying? Because what does worry do as far as lifespan goes?
You take some away.
It actually does the opposite. So I think about that, and I think like, well, maybe that message isn't really applicable today. Because, that was 2,000 years ago. And, you think about it, Jesus is speaking to some folks, and I bet some of them had some issues. Would you think some of them had some issues? Maybe some of them had a little bit more month than money. Maybe some of them had, maybe there was a little political unrest at that time, you think? Maybe there were some health issues. Maybe there were some marital issues. But because it's been 2,000 years ago, we've solved all that. So there isn't any of that anymore. So So why do we have to worry? I think if we took and we got rid of our worries and we put our focus on Jesus. What if we focused on Jesus and what Jesus told us? Could we get rid of some worries? What if we shifted our worries to that? What is the biggest wall between you and your relationship with Jesus? What do you think? You think maybe it's drinking, maybe it's smoking, maybe it's carousing, maybe it's I don't know, cursing, maybe it's porno, I don't think it's any of those. What I think it is, I think it's worry. Because do you realize you can't worry and worship at the same time? Because when you're doing that, what you're saying is yeah, Jesus, I believe you, but I'm kind of concerned about this and this and this and this and this. Well, wait a second. I thought the Bible tells me hand that stuff over to Jesus, but there's a conflict in there. So that creates a wall. I think what you need to do is, in life, you need to find a nap. You need to have a nap in life. And a nap is a non-anxious person. Have you ever been in a situation where it's just a crazy situation? People are, and all of a sudden somebody stands up and goes, oh no, boom, let's do this. And all of a sudden the room calms down and it gets quiet. That was a non-anxious person that stood up. I've been in board meetings and stuff like that, where all of a sudden everybody's screaming and somebody just goes, boom, and it's like, oh, wow. That's Jesus. Why don't we let Jesus be our nap? Why don't we let him do that? Does he have a little experience at that? Well, I don't know. I mean, him and the apostles were out in this boat, and they're floating around, and I'm paraphrasing some of this stuff, but they're out floating around, and this big storm rolls in. Seas are rough, and the apostles are all freaking out. And what's Jesus doing? He's sleeping. And they're like, whoa, wait a second. Jesus, wake up. We're going to all drown. The storms are here. He looks, he's like, come on. Give me 15 more minutes. He goes back. And they were like, no, Jesus. He's like, you have little faith. Calm. And guess what? The storm went away.
So we go back to sleep.
So he could go back to sleep. Well, why wouldn't he do the same thing if you were focused on him and you had this and this and this, and he might say, calm, and all of a sudden you got the clarity in there. And all of a sudden it's there, and you figure out the solution to the problem. Do I think he's going to step in and solve all your problems? No. But I think he'll give you some rest. I think by handing stuff to him, he'll help you a little bit. I think that he had his own problems. You think about, what did he do? He had his own problems. He went and solved all these things. Because some people go, well, but it was easy for Jesus to do that stuff because he didn't. Did he still have taxes due? Right? Did he? He didn't have any marital issues, but did he have a few issues with some of the dudes he hung out with? Did he have an issue or two with the government? So when you think about that, I think if you took and you focused on how do I end worrying, is I can cast it off on Jesus. What if I gave that worry to Jesus? And then what I got to do, the biggest thing when I give worry to Jesus is I got to stop worrying about what I should be worrying about. If I gave that worry to Jesus. Does that make sense? Because I'd be worried that I'm supposed to be worrying about something, and now that I ain't worried about something, now I should be worried about something. But it's don't let worry win. Let Jesus win. I don't think there's a problem that Jesus can't solve. But what I think happens, I think we don't ask him. We think we spend the time. He wants a relationship with us. He wants us to take and live the good life. But when was the last time we asked him, hey, I need some advice. What do they always say? Father knows best. And sometimes when we were young, some of us are younger. When we were younger, did we kind of not ask Father when we should have got the right advice? Did we ask our Father when we should have got the right advice? You know, I've done that with a bunch of stuff with my dad. It's like, well, I did this and this, and after the fact, well, I did this and this and it didn't work. Yeah, no, you could have called me. I'd have told you that. Well, I think, what if we asked him and said, hey, I got this. Will the answer show up right now? No. When I was looking for a new job, I did that for a year. Was the answer showing up? No. But you know what happened was, for that year, he was conditioning me. There was some stuff I needed to learn. There was some stuff I needed to do differently. There was some different attitudes I needed to take. And, you know, I needed to suck it up a little bit. And guess what? It taught me patience. It taught me some stuff. And today, I feel like he's rewarded me for it. I'm going to close with this. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That means I can do all things. If you said that, who would you be talking about? Who's the I in your life? You. So when they write that and you're reading that, it's like, I can do it. That means you can do all things through Christ, if you'll let him help you. Appreciate your time. I'm going to let Steve bless the food because it's about time to eat.
Smells like it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Good, Mike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Very practical.